Breaking news. Several hundred Wagner mercenaries have already arrived in Belarus. Yesterday, Ukrainian and Polish officials reported seeing a large convoy carrying fighters from the Wagner private army enter Belarus from Russia. Ukrainian border agency spokesman Andriy Demchenko said, "Wagner is in Belarus," and that separate groups from Russia had been seen moving through Belarus. In a video released on Friday, the Belarusian Defense Ministry claimed to show Wagner fighters training Belarusian soldiers at a military range close to the town of Osipovichi. It has been confirmed that Wagner fighters are present in Belarus, according to Stanislaw Zarin, Deputy Minister Coordinator of Special Services in Poland. According to his tweets, there could be several hundred of them right now. Meanwhile, the Estonian head of intelligence has claimed that the Ukrainian counteroffensive against Russia is on the verge of a major breakthrough after the destruction of Kremlin command posts and advances near Bakhmut. Estonian Defense Forces member Margo Grossberg told local broadcaster AIR, "All this shows that Ukrainians are close to greater success." Another example of growing tensions between frontline officers and the country's military leadership is the apparent dismissal of a top Russian commander for expressing concerns about the Kremlin's war strategy. According to Andriy Kostin, the general prosecutor of Ukraine, at least 53 Russian nationals have been found guilty of war crimes by Ukrainian courts. He stated that 200 individuals were charged with such crimes and that all evidence was presented to the court. More than 300 people have been singled out and labeled as possible culprits. The prosecutor said, as reported by Ukrainska Pravda, that not only have potential Russian criminals been identified, but there is evidence that confirms that these people committed a particular crime. Some people might say that this isn't a lot. He further stated, "When I speak with international partners, they are surprised." Yesterday, Ukrainian and Polish officials reported seeing a large convoy carrying fighters from the Wagner private army enter Belarus from Russia. Andriy Demchenko, a spokesman for the Ukrainian border agency, said in a statement, "Wagner is in Belarus." He claimed that separate groups had been spotted traveling from Russia into Belarus. In a video released on Friday, the Belarusian Defense Ministry claimed to show Wagner fighters training Belarusian soldiers at a military range close to the town of Osipovichi. It has been confirmed that Wagner fighters are present in Belarus, according to Stanislaw Zarin, Deputy Minister Coordinator of Special Services in Poland. According to his tweets, there could be several hundred of them right now. At least 60 trucks, buses, and other large vehicles crossed into the Eastern European country accompanied by Belarusian police, according to Belaruski Hagen, an independent monitoring group that tracks the movements of armed forces in Belarus. Approximately 230 kilometers north of the Ukrainian border is the town of Osipovichi, where the convoy was en route to a military base. According to a Moscow-appointed official, Russia's air defense forces and fleet in the Black Sea were busy this morning fending off Ukrainian drone attacks over the Crimean port of Sevastopol. Mikhail Razvozhayev, the Moscow-appointed governor of Sevastopol, said that the attacks took place over the harbor of Sevastopol and the city's Balaklava and Kherson's districts. Russia annexed the Ukrainian peninsula of Crimea in 2014, but details of the attack's scale and damage were not immediately available. Photos of exiled mutineer Yevgeny Prigozhin in his underwear in a tent have been leaked online as part of an ongoing campaign to discredit the man less than a month after he left the Kremlin trembling as his Wagner mercenaries marched on Moscow. A number of images of a disheveled-looking Mr. Prigozhin in a state of semi-nudity surfaced on Telegram as Vladimir Putin, whose hold on power is seen by many to have been severely weakened by the popular mercenary boss's armed rebellion, sought to insist that Wagner had never actually existed. While his bolstered ally Alexander Lukashenko claimed that some of the exiled mercenaries were now training Belarus's military, the president insisted to the Kommersant newspaper on Friday that the private military company simply doesn't exist as a legal entity under Russian law. Defense Secretary Ben Wallace, who previously suggested the invaded country show gratitude for the military aid it has received, has now pledged his support for Ukraine. Mr. Wallace tweeted a long thread in Ukrainian to clarify his comments after he announced in the Sunday Times that he plans to resign at the next cabinet reshuffle and stand down as an MP at the next election. His comment came after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called it absurd for NATO to insist there are still conditions for his nation to meet before it can gain membership once the war with Russia is over. The tweet from Mr. Wallace reads, "My comments about how best to support Ukraine caused a lot of interest and were somewhat misrepresented.